Dad cuts his daughter's hair off after getting birthday highlights, but Mom steps in. This is the story of Kelsey Frederick and the events surrounding her 13th birthday. Every child deserves to have as much fun as they desire on their birthday. Kelsey had two loving parents who, though separated, cared about her so much and tried to give her the best. It was close to her 13th birthday, and her mom, Kristen, chose to fulfill her daughter's wish and take her to get the blonde highlights she so desired. After that, Kelsey went on to be with her dad, Shafin, for a while, but was in for a rude shock. After the visit, Kelsey returned to her mother, who couldn't believe her father's reaction to Kelsey's choice. Kristen then took it upon herself to make things right. A birthday usually is a period of celebration and joy. Marking another year is usually an event which should attract friends and your family to have a memorable party get-together. This wasn't the case for this young girl named Kelsey Frederick, who had what we would call a disastrous birthday. Kelsey was about to turn 13 and was very excited when she got her first hair highlights, which were paid for by her mom. Her initial excitement and happiness would later turn to the opposite when she paid her father a visit. Kelsey, like many other young people with separated parents, knew what it was like to basically have two families. Though both Kristen and Shafin had joint custody, Kelsey rather chose to spend most of her time with Kristen, her loving mother. Both Kelsey and her mother, Kristen, lived in Ohio. They were so close they were basically like peas and carrots. Kelsey enjoyed a loving relationship with her mother, but the other side for Kelsey was her father. Kelsey's parents, Kristen and Shafin, had some issues between them, and this led to their separation. Shafin then moved on from his marriage to Kristen and went on to be with someone else. Shafin met his new partner while working at the same fire station with her. Regardless, Kelsey still desired to have Shafin present in her life. However, Kristen and Shafin weren't the only significant figures in her life, and in this interesting story, Kristen and Shafin weren't the only important figures in Kelsey's life who had impacted her and the story especially. She also experienced the influence of many other people whom she looked up to, and out of them, two were women. Of the two women, one was Kelly, her aunt, and the second woman was Kelsey's godmother, Haley Ann. Eventually, they would both play a huge role in Kelsey's life and in this story at the end. It was very obvious that Kelsey was quite distinct from her peers. She had some interesting hobbies which were different from those of many teenagers her age. Kelsey was very unsure of her likes and wasted no time pursuing her unusual hobbies. For example, Kelsey loved softball so much and was very passionate about swinging for her team. At the back of her softball jersey was her family name. Apart from playing softball, Kelsey also loved going on fishing trips with her cousins. However, one thing Kelsey liked, which other kids do also, was having a memorable birthday each year. Kelsey's 13th birthday came as a surprise to Kristen as time had moved so fast. Though it wasn't one of those milestone birthdays like turning 16 or 21, Kristen was determined to make Kelsey's 13th birthday as memorable as it could get. Every birthday was important as far as she knew and ought to be celebrated. Kristen chose not to give her one of those surprise presents like in many other birthdays. For Kelsey's 13th birthday, she chose to ask her for anything she wanted as a birthday gift. What Kelsey asked for came as a surprise to Kristen, however. Like we said before, Kristen was quite surprised by her daughter's birthday wish. She didn't imagine Kelsey would ask for a type of makeover as her 13th birthday wish. Kelsey still felt like her little daughter. Regardless, Kristen was prepared to grant her daughter's birthday wish and was ready to give her the permission to get her hair highlights she wanted. Kelsey described the type of highlights she wanted, blonde streaks on her brunette hair. Rather than fulfilling her wish at home, Kristen chose to take her to a 5-star salon so as to get the best service possible. After that, Kristen and Kelsey went off to visit a reputable salon, with Kristen hoping to give her daughter Kelsey the best birthday treat ever. They were at a local salon for the whole afternoon, having a nice time, while Kelsey got the hair highlights she wanted. Kelsey was about to be transformed. After all the talks, jokes, and periodic looks into the mirror, The process was eventually completed. Kristen took her daughter in front of the mirror and made her look at her new appearance. Kelsey was stunned, to say the least, by the new look she got for her 13th birthday. Kelsey was so surprised by her new look as she looked in the mirror. Her face surely looked beautiful with those new blonde highlights. Kristen also was so happy with the hair makeover that she took a photo which she shared on her Facebook account. The results looked really beautiful. Kelsey also posed happily for the camera, smiling widely while doing so. She was evidently happy with the new look. Her joy wouldn't last long, as another event was about to happen. Kelsey looked forward to having some time with her dad, the only event remaining for her birthday to be perfect. Her mother, Kristen, chose to let her have her way, as she knew how important it was to have a father figure. It was her birthday also, so it was nice to let her spend some time with her dad, Chafin. Kristen then drove her daughter to Chafin's place to stay with her dad and her stepmom for some days. Unknown to her that things would be different by the time she would come back to get her. After spending a number of days at her dad's place, it was now time for Kelsey to return. Kristen went to the door expecting to meet her beautiful daughter, but met a kid she couldn't recognize at first. Upon taking a closer look, Kristen was so shocked to discover it was actually her daughter Kelsey. She just couldn't believe her eyes. Kelsey had gone from having her beautiful blonde highlights to this horrible haircut. Her hair had been cut so short at the sides with just a little at the top. Turns out her dad and stepmom chose to give her this ugly haircut instead. Words could not describe how horrible Kelsey felt with her new haircut. It was so heartbreaking and humiliating for her to come back with that kind of haircut. Within a few days, Chafin had managed to bring Kelsey's self-esteem down just with that horrible haircut. Kelsey, who had looked so happy looking at her blonde highlights in the mirror, couldn't even look at herself now, not to talk of posing for pictures like she did before. Kristen was so short of words, all she could say to her was why. Kristen was so furious and demanded answers. She drove off immediately to her dad's house looking to get an explanation for the horrible haircut. She was pissed at the decision to give Kelsey a haircut without even considering her opinion. The explanation Chafin and his partner gave was that Kelsey had to be punished for getting those blonde highlights. According to them, actions have consequences, so she had to be punished. Kristen could not argue with them surprisingly, but vowed to take action. Though Kristen acted like she was okay with the explanation given by Chafin, she was rather unable to let that slide. She then shared the whole story on her social media account alongside the photos of a distraught Kelsey covering her face with her hands. She shared the photos she took at the salon and what Kelsey now looked like after the haircut. She wrote, "This is what my daughter looked like Sunday when I took her home, and the other two pics is what happened today before she was brought to me. All over me having highlights put in her hair for her birthday." Her post started to go viral soon after that. Though Kristen simply wanted her family and some of her friends to see what happened, she never imagined this post would become so popular. She only intended to share how angry she was with what Kelsey's dad and stepmom had done. Within a week of posting the pictures on Facebook, up to 40,000 people had reacted to the photos. Some 25,000 people had also reposted the pictures and stories somewhere else. With her post now viral, most of the people who reacted had the same comment. Most of the people who viewed the photos and read the backstory had the same reaction. They described Chafin's actions as disgusting and ridiculous. When they knew Chafin was responsible for the horrible haircut as a way of punishing Kelsey, lots of people were really angry. Letters started pouring in from people in support of Kelsey. Comments such as, "What a cruel thing for a parent to do to their child," and "So sorry that happened, beautiful no matter what," was part of people's opinion on Chafin's actions. As the story spread online, many people swiftly condemned Chafin's actions, but there was a different view to the matter. Kelsey went through the humiliating experience because of another reason. Some people rather believed Kelsey went through all that because she was in the middle of two parents who didn't love each other. One of the people wrote, "I think the daughter was unfortunately in the middle of a get back at you between both parents fighting." People even had more to say about her experience. On the issue of a child getting highlights, many parents have different opinions. Though some do not see anything wrong with that, others have a different opinion. In spite of that, highlights aren't permanent like tattoos, though most teenagers are excited about getting them. Even though it may look unnecessary to some parents, in Kelsey's case, her father's actions were inexcusable. Though many people criticized Chafin's harsh action online, some other people tried to help Kelsey regain her confidence. Many people started to offer ideas on how to help Kelsey improve her looks. While some said the best option was to use hair extensions, others recommended getting a wig. Still, Kelsey was afraid the past event would repeat itself again. She didn't want a second horrible haircut from her dad. Kelsey's story had now gone viral, and Kristen then decided to take advantage of that. She chose to create a Facebook page in honor of her daughter's experience. Though the page was to be created in honor of Kelsey, the main goal was to have a place for where people who have gone through similar circumstances could share their experiences to create awareness. The page began to grow, and by March 2019, it had more than 10,000 followers. Kristen also kept them posted on Kelsey's story and what happened next. With a large number of people waiting to get answers, Kristen made it a point of duty to regularly update the Facebook page to keep the subscribers informed. Kristen explained how Kelsey had been feeling and what she had been doing to cope, and also how the case was being handled legally. People responded positively to how Kelsey had been handling the whole experience. Kelsey had many hobbies that she really enjoyed. As we have stated before, though some of those hobbies were a little bit surprising, she enjoyed doing them regardless. The unpleasant experience was not enough to stop her. Alongside updates on how her daughter was faring and how the case was being handled legally, Kristen also posted pictures of her daughter doing her favorite activities, which were playing softball and also going to fish together with her cousins. Kelsey's case got the attention of the police, and it was treated as a case of potential abuse. The police chief, Colby Carroll, reiterated this during an interview with Fox 8 and said Kelsey had been forced by Chafin and her stepmom to get a haircut to serve as punishment. According to the police chief, "I've been doing this since '92 and I've never had a case I would say that's like this." Chafin was soon invited by the police department. Like Kelsey's dad originally said, actions have consequences. This also came back like a boomerang as an investigation was conducted by the Wood County Job and Family Services, and the decision was to take action concerning what Chafin had done. Chafin and his partner were then suspended from their positions at the Emergency Fire Service. They were both put on administrative leave, and more things were to follow this. Though Kristen and Chafin both shared joint custody of Kelsey initially, the court ruled that that would no longer be the case. Kristen was now to have full custody over her daughter. The news was posted on Facebook by Kristen. After 5 hours of testimony and evidence provided by both parties, the magistrate decision was for Kelsey to live with her mom and siblings. A huge weight has been lifted off everyone's shoulders, and we cannot be happier. Though they were happy with the decision, it would eventually lead to some other issues for Kelsey. Kelsey now lived in a safe and loving environment with her mom, her grandma, and her siblings. This still resulted in some other issues, however. One of the main problems was that Kelsey couldn't bring many of her clothes and other personal possessions with her. A solution was offered by her Aunt Kelly, who helped her create a GoFundMe account to help gather funds to replace the clothes and other possessions she left behind. Would this be effective in helping Kelsey live a better life? Not long after, Kelsey began to get donations. Her aunt had set a decent amount of $1,000 to help her sister and niece get through these difficult times. They were so surprised by the donations coming in. Her aunt, Kelly, was left speechless when an unknown donor sent in $2,000. Their $1,000 target was beaten in a few weeks, and the donations eventually amounted to $3,543. With enough money to sustain themselves, Kristen developed an idea of what to spend some of the money on. Now that they had enough money, Kristen vowed to make her daughter as happy as she was when she first got the blonde highlights. She then decided to take Kelsey to a salon the second time. They didn't visit a local salon this time, rather they went on a trip to Lady Jane's salon. Though the large room and the thought of how she would now look made Kelsey nervous at first, there was no need for that as she was unprepared for a pleasant surprise. Kelsey and her godmother Haley Ann were treated as important guests by the staff, who then helped Kelsey make a choice. The staff worked on Kelsey for a few hours, and after they were done, she looked at her new hairdo in the mirrors. It was a black wig coupled with light brown highlights at the edges. It looked bold, and the staff was particularly pleased with it. It was now left to see if Kelsey loved the new look. Kelsey then looked at herself in the mirror and was pleased with her new wig. Kristen and Kelsey's godmother, Haley Ann, was also stunned by her new look. She wrote, "I'd like to thank the ladies for making my baby feel more like herself. We truly appreciate you ladies so much." This new look would surely be important in helping Kelsey get back to her normal self. Kristen then thanked Kelsey's godmother, Haley, in a post she wrote on Facebook, especially Haley Ann for taking her to pick out her new hair. "You're the best godmother to Kelsey, and the bond you two share is incredible. We love you so much." Interestingly, a new surprise was on the way for Kristen. Kristen could no longer go unnoticed on social media since the time she wrote about her daughter's experience. Her posts had been having a huge amount of engagements. She then posted pictures from the salon trip and was amazed by the number of likes and the love shown by people. As at March 2019, the post had gotten almost 5,000 likes, with many shares and comments like, "You're beautiful."